Welcome to Honestly, We're Learning, a podcast from ClearEdge, the marketing agency that also helps marketers grow their careers. Join Leslie Vickrey and Leslie Cardec as we explore the turning points that shape a person's professional story, the highs, the stumbles, and everything in between. We'll bring you candid conversations with leaders and rising talent, plus our own take on what's changing in marketing and recruiting today. Because behind every success story is a few lessons learned the hard way. And honestly, we're all still learning.
Hello. I was waiting to see who was going to say hi this time.
Yeah, I know.
Hi,
It's always one of those
hi,
things.
Leslie. Yeah, it's great to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh. We're on a high because we just got off of our all hands call with the whole team, and it was so great. We were celebrating 20 years of ClearEdge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was so nice.
Yeah, it was a blast.
It was so great. It was filled with all these memories. People were giving toast. We had some of the OGs on there walking down memory lane. And I know it was sentimental for you. All of the years I know are sentimental to you, but 20 is big.
It's a big year. It's a big year. It's flown by. I was talking to Jess Castaneda from our team, who was on with me from day one, thanking her for trusting in me and the vision. And we were reminiscing that literally it feels like just yesterday. It's wild how that happens.
Yeah. I was on a call with Jess E. See, not to confuse everyone, earlier, and she was like, her son is 21, the company's 20. So I'm like,
Yeah.
literally, her son has grown up here. So that's wild to think about.
It's so fun to think
Yeah.
of all the kiddos, the ClearEdge kids, for sure.
Yeah.
I was a kid then.
Yeah.
Not anymore, Leslie, not anymore.
We won't go down that rabbit hole, you guys. We'll keep it focused. But 20 years, Leslie, I thought we could share just for a minute. What have you seen change in the 20 years?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. It's interesting. Obviously, things that have changed are many more skill sets in marketing that are different and evolved, just because tools and technologies have also changed. The way people buy has changed. The way of the world has changed in that regard. So being a generalist in marketing, it's what I would consider myself, writer by trade, but a generalist. Now all the specialty areas is truly remarkable and incredible to see. Marketing ops and rev ops and all of the digital transformation that's happening, obviously with AI and others. That's definitely changed. One thing that has not changed, which I thought was really interesting in reflecting on 20 years, is the conversation that we continue to have with companies about the value of marketing and how so many companies still do not see the value in marketing, or they see it as the internal company event planner, or we're going to buy the promotional items, or they need to just do social media or something to that effect, but they haven't truly seen the investment in marketing work well for them to help grow their business as a growth driver. So as we look at these case studies and client stories, especially during our celebration today, and how many are leveraging marketing. And I'll talk to companies and they'll say, we're not growing, we're retracting, we're worried about the future. And there's other things outside of marketing. It could be how they're training their sales reps or how they're hiring, onboarding, who they're targeting. There could be many, many factors as to why that's happening. But it's still, when I hear, what if you could do something different and actually invest in marketing as a growth driver? Would you? And then when you show the results and you get a yes, oh my gosh, I would love to have that. Then when you say, this is the investment that it would take, but here's the ROI that you could experience from that and the growth that you could experience, there's still hesitation. And I think part of it's the fear of the unknown, or they've tried things and it hasn't worked. But something that has not changed is marketing's evolved in itself. But a lot of times the buyers were still doing a lot of education on what marketing can do for a company, which is exciting. That means it's opportunity. And, we've got a lot of companies we're talking to today about transforming their marketing org through recruiting or embedded teams. And I love it. That's why we started, ClearEdge 20 years ago to help with that education. So a lot has changed, yet some things have stayed the same.
Yeah. We're still fighting the good fight, right?
Yes, we're not giving up on it. Aw.
I love it. Yeah, it's probably a little deja vu, but I think companies have come a long way, and we're definitely there's definitely been a lot of progression, in where marketing sits inside the organization now. So I'm happy for that.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to jump into Kelly's episode, and I know you are too. So let's go.
Today, we're thrilled to welcome Kelly McCreight, CEO of Hamilton-Ryker, one of the country's most respected names in workforce solutions. Kelly, before we get into your career, I have to say, when I was putting together this intro, I could not stop thinking, this is not a normal resume. 30 plus years in staffing and workforce development, past president of the Tennessee Staffing Association, past chairman of the American Staffing Association, on the board of the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce. Okay, here's where we get into the not like another staffing resume. Owner of School of Rock Nashville, where 250 students come to rock out every week. Oh my gosh, you're also a guitarist, a drummer, and an 80s cover band. And not to bury the lead here, an 8-time Ironman finisher. 8 times, Kelly. Wow. What I love about your story is that it reflects something we talk a lot about on this show, and that is that best leaders aren't one-dimensional. You've built a company with real staying power, shaped national workforce policy, and somehow also found time to play Don't Stop Believing in front of a live audience. Now that's great. Hamilton-Ryker has become a national force in workforce solutions. And Kelly, you've been a central part of defining what modern staffing looks like, from M&A strategy to second chance hiring to apprenticeship programs that actually move the needle. Oh my goodness, Kelly, I really admire and respect you. I'm so happy that our paths crossed and came together. Welcome to the show. We are so glad that you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. You're very flattering, and I appreciate all that. It doesn't when you put it on paper, sometimes it's like, what is it? What am I doing? Am I just running around doing all these different things? For sure. And of course, everybody loves to talk about music versus staffing, right? So, but there is some relationship there, and for sure. And but thank you, and I'm excited to be here to talk with you.
Well, you've been able to turn your passion for music and people into multiple businesses and making the change in many lives, which a lot of people can't connect those dots all of the time when you look at your kind of music and love of all things, being a musician, and how you've been able to turn that into work. And you're right. I look forward to hearing how you bridge that gap between that and staffing during our call here today.
Thank you. Awesome.
Kelly, I'm so excited too. I mentioned to you when you joined and we were just meeting each other that after I was reading your background and bio, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. No pressure, but I know it will be. One of the things we like to do when we jump into these conversations is to sort of break the ice. And there was no other perfect question than to ask you what your walk-up song is. So what would yours be?
I mean, it was very obvious. It's the greatest walk-up song of all time. It's Metallica, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I mean, it's 2 minutes of instrumental, no words. It starts off with the ringing of a big bell, and then Lars comes in with the drums, Kirk Hamlet on the guitar, Big Papa Hef on the guitar, and it just rocks. And you're just ready to run through anything after you hear that intro. So, yeah. So
I love that. That's very, very appropriate. Metallica keeps coming up in conversation recently, and it's reminding me of actually going to see them in concert back in the day. I want to say I was in college when I did that, and what a wonderful performance and so forth. So I was happy to hear you say that. All right, so we've got your walk-up song, and we're learning a little bit more about who you actually are, but I want to talk a little bit more about you, not just the title on the business card. So perhaps you could share with us a moment, could be big or small, that shaped the way you lead today.
I really go back to my very first job, which was baling hay in West Tennessee. And I think when I think about my career, it's always been around working, and at a very young age. And everybody has jobs that they get when they get started. But because I grew up in a really small town, a lot of us just worked on a farm, and so just working on a farm and doing those kind of things, it gave me a real appreciation for hard work, for sure, working with your hands and just being very present in whatever you're doing. And then that led to a job in an automotive factory. And then I went to college and I got sat in the office and became a recruiter. But I always think about those formative years when I was younger. There's nothing like working outside baling hay, driving a tractor, or working on a factory floor. And especially, of course, we're in the light industrial sector. So not only can I say that I've actually worked on the line and made an automotive part, during third shift, and then I could recruit for that. But I think it's just stayed with me for so long, that experience in those years when I was in high school and early college.
Right. Makes you very relatable when it comes to hard work, grit, dedication. But I would have never thought, just anything to do with hay and baling hay with you. So it's good to learn that about you. And I, again, would just emphasize, being a humble leader and knowing where your roots are from, that small town growing up and doing that as one of your first jobs certainly has helped you stay grounded, I can tell.
Yeah, yeah, we learned back then we would finish a high school baseball game and we would just go from the game, still be in our uniforms, and we would the hay was in the barn and we'd load a tractor trailer and we'd get $100 for loading this tractor trailer. So we would decide if we wanted four of us where we each get
Mhm.
25, or if we were
Yep.
kind of tired, we got another person and we would only get 20 bucks. That was just very,
Right.
we did that many, many times. So those little things stick with me. So
Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you're very just front line. You kind of roll up your sleeves kind of person and do the work. I love that. Part of what we talk about on this podcast is the stuff that doesn't go as planned, the stuff that's tough, the challenges around that. So curious, has there been, we've all made mistakes. There's not just one, but has there been something that's been top of mind in terms of a misstep that you'd be willing to share and what you've learned from that to take forward?
sure, I think the biggest mistake that I've made recently, or over the last 5 to 7 years, was the failure to imagine how quickly things could change for our company and for our industry. We had reached, we were so focused on revenue growth coming, in, maybe 2016, 2017, 2018. We're working hard. We're doing some acquisitions. We're building infrastructure. We're hitting these great revenue levels. And we're just rolling, and you just think, you don't think it's going to end. And then, COVID comes, it hits, we retrench, we start back up. But the industry itself really has struggled over the last several years. And I think that was my mistake, was not imagining that we could go backwards, right? I didn't do a good job of preparing our company for that. And you have to make a lot of hard decisions, and, whether it's reduction in force or closing service lines or locations. And, those are always difficult no matter when you do them. But that was something that I had done in 2008, 2009. And I should have been a little more prepared for that.
Cool. Yeah, I think the crystal ball, right?
Hmm.
Everyone was in the same spot trying to figure out. Even just now, Leslie, we've had conversations as as uh as recently as this week of looking at 2027 and thinking about how we can best prepare ourselves based on what we're hearing and seeing and actual activity. So I feel like it's one of those things that we've all have lived through, and still having that, cautious optimism is kind of the name of the game. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I think Kelly is the CEO and founder and your executive team and your whole company. we all carry different weights on us at different times. And to hear you, so just honestly say that you should have done things differently or could have done things differently. I feel that way, all the time. We need to be operating at all times as if something could change. We can't necessarily predict it, but even to Leslie's point, we're celebrating a great Q4, a great Q1, and then next thing we know, two fairly sizable accounts had to make some changes. And one was because their business isn't performing the way that they want it to. So it's like the second you get comfortable as an entrepreneur, you can never be comfortable because you just never know what's around that corner and what's next. So you want to enjoy it and learn from all of those things and learn and grow each time. And I bet for you, it's learning during that moment. What would you have done differently? And then now you take that forward. And listen, you do so much public speaking and working with Vistage and different Vistage chairs. Those are the life experiences those other entrepreneurs need to hear and learn from, which is fantastic. And we see change and change again. No one could predict how long the market stayed down the last time. And I want to learn a little bit from you, like knowing your kind of the upbringing side of it, your hard work ethic, and knowing that you carry a lot of that on your shoulders as well. As the CEO of your company, I want to understand what drives the work from the inside for you. So when you think about the future of the staffing industry, or it could be even within other industries that you're working in, you work with a lot of different companies. What's genuinely exciting you right now? You've been doing this for a little while. We just celebrated 20 years. So I constantly want to dig deep and know what's exciting me. I want to know what is exciting you and kind of understand what also gives you pause.
I think for us, what I am super excited about is solving human capital problems is not going away. Now, traditional staffing models are going away, but solving the issue of finding labor is going to continue. I've been speaking on this through my Vistage engagements of the baby boomer exit is we're in it. And then there's going to be a population decline that's going to be coming in a couple of years. And
Yeah.
so whether it's 2029, 2030, 2031, there's going to be the demand out there for labor is going to be great despite all the technology, innovation, AI. And so I just think it gives companies like ours and other people that are in the industry a chance to kind of retool, repivot. For us, we're really focused on apprenticeships. That is a something I probably couldn't have spelled apprenticeship, 10 years ago. And right now, I think we've got 9,000 out there that we're managing, and primarily in healthcare. And it would have something that just through some dumb luck and some grit, determination, and making some the right connections and good relationships, we kind of found a niche for us, and that is exciting for us because that's a different way to solve human capital versus just the traditional recruiting and staffing. Is put people in an apprenticeship role where you're bringing the person, but you're also bringing all the training and the mentoring and the coaching along with that, and you're getting a wage growth for that employee and that apprentice. So it's a great thing, and the government's behind it. They're supporting it, no matter which side you're on. They both believe that we've got to solve that problem. So that's real exciting for me.
I love that. Tell me a little bit more about that. Is it both sides? Is it talent and organizations that you pair up together?
Exactly. So we'll identify whether it's a federal grant or a state grant.
Hmm.
Let's just use the state of New Jersey. And they've got, say $250,000 that are focused on maybe CNAs in some rural hospitals in New Jersey. And what we do is we write the grant typically so we can access the money, and then we find the hospitals, right? So we find these rural hospitals and get them to commit to, okay, can you commit to 5 apprentices? This hospital's doing 10. And then, that's what the state of New Jersey wants, right? And so then whether we find the people or the hospital identifies the people, or the New Jersey Hospital Association is with us, and we all are trying to, get 50 CNAs. And that money that's out there is for the training, for the coaching, and in most cases, it's a pay for performance. So the hospital is going to get some sort of dollar figure for putting people through this apprenticeship program. And, if we can find someone who maybe is in a lower skilled job and bring them through that CNA program, and they're growing in their wages, it's a win for everybody.
100%.
Seeing that a lot in healthcare, and not just for patient care. It could be, a lot of nursing homes are struggling to find people to work in janitorial
Yeah.
or culinary or security, and that money's available for that. It's just not necessarily about, the nursing or the direct care worker.
Yeah. There's so many folks behind the scenes that make that engine run. So
Exactly.
I love the work that you're doing around that. It seems like such a value add for local communities and bringing that growth to the local markets. I want to pivot for a second because one of the parts of the show that is one of my favorites is we kind of slow down a little bit and talk about, like we said, the person behind the leader. And so to lead at this level, what does life look like for you? Do you have certain routines or support
Mhm.
systems? There's a lot going on in your world, right? And so who allowed you to show up on all those roles?
Yeah, the only way that I can do this is we built a good team underneath us. We got a lot of long-term employees. I think that's part of our culture. And, then I've just delegated to them and trust that, giving them my trust that they know what they need to do, and they need to call me and stay out of their way, and focus on the big stuff. I had to learn. I'm a recovering CPA, right? I have an accounting degree, and so there's nothing better than solving an accounting problem. You
Right.
know, throwing some debits and credits out there. I mean, that's to me, I'm a little nerdish when it comes to that. But obviously, you don't need. I got a CFO that and a controller that knows how to make journal entries and balance accounts, and so it's I need to focus on what the CEO does, which is, sales in our organization. We're a selling organization, and coaching and providing my team and being there for them, and pushing this organization forward. Right. Just like figuring out when I need to spend staff. I got a great team that knows how to do staffing. There's not much I can add there. They know what to do. And so what can I do is focus on this apprenticeship, workforce development, some of this new things, creating
Mhm.
those relationships, speaking about that. So it wouldn't be possible without my team for sure.
I would like to be inside your head because it's the musician, the accounting, then it's the business owner, CEO. It's super dynamic, but I would imagine it's not easy at first because you can do and you have experience in all the things, but letting go, trusting your team over time is the only way to allow you to step into what you need to be doing.
I had to be okay with letting them fail, right? I mean, I had to it was okay. I'm here to make sure that hopefully they don't make any fatal mistakes.
Right.
When you're a business owner, what's the number one reason businesses fail? They run out of cash, right? Yeah, that's typically my top priorities and what I'm focused on, and let them
Hmm.
deal with the day-to-day runnings with it, and they know what to do. And then I've had to learn how to switch from, is this staffing Kelly? Is this School of Rock Kelly? Because that's a whole. I mean, it's a business. It is.
Yeah.
We have customers and we have employees. And, you know, we have issues just like staffing, and they are somewhat related. But and then it's the personal growth, right? How do you find time to do that? And I've been lucky to be part of Vistage, which is a CEO networking group that I've been in for 10 years, and so that's a great outlet for me to work on myself, right, and stuff that I need to, and people need to challenge me. So
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Abs-
love that you invest in yourself with that, 100%. And letting go isn't easy. I feel like Leslie, you're directing that question, at Kelly, for good reason. I need to hear it too constantly. Of let go for others to rise up. Kelly, Leslie, and I were talking about this. You have done 8 Ironmans, and That is incredible. I have a good friend who just did an Ironman a couple weeks ago, and watching it, hearing how long it takes, all of the things, it's a lot. That's a commitment in and of itself. So, what has endurance sports taught you about leadership that you couldn't have learned any other way?
Well, I think when I think back on that journey, right? I just didn't start doing an Ironman, right? That's
No.
I always I'm big on. I always
I
love to
don't
learn
know. You're
people.
kind of like Superman. You could have. You
No,
jumped right in.
no. I
Mm,
literally started. You know, you start doing 5Ks, and then you buy a bike and you go ride 20 miles, and I didn't grow up swimming. I had to literally take swimming lessons when I'm 30 years old, I'm in there with a bunch of kids, trying to learn how to swim, to swim the right way. And so and then you meet people and you find out commonalities. But I think the one thing that there was never a finish line, even though there was a literal finish line, but for me, you're always trying to get better. And first you have the endurance to complete it, then you try to get faster. So, okay, instead of just going for a run, now you're at the track, right? You're running 800s and 400s and you're running the mile and you're understanding what that does to your body. And then it's about the nutrition, right? It's finishing an Ironman nutrition's as important as completing the other three disciplines. There's been so many people, including myself, that if you didn't do your nutrition right, you're just they call it bonking, but you're gonna bonk at some point, whether it's on the bike or whether it's on the run. My favorite bonking story, I was doing the marathon in Memphis, and I was a very experienced triathlete at that time and runner. And so, done a lot of marathons, but I had a horrible day. I didn't get the right sleep. I didn't do my nutrition, and it was about 30 degrees. And there's no worse feeling than sitting in a porta potty at mile 16, realizing you have 10 miles to go and you're done
Yeah.
and you have to finish. I'm not quitting, right? So basically, I walked 10 miles in 30 degrees, beating myself up. But that's a huge learning
Learning.
experience for me,
Mhm.
because when you're sitting there and you don't want to get out of the porta potty because it's so warm compared to the outside,
Okay,
that's
that's
not a good
bad.
spot.
Yeah,
You
that's
pretty
not a
much hit
good.
rock bottom. You've hit
Oh
rock
my
bottom.
gosh.
You gotta crawl out of that.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's such a great, getting back to your leadership. It's just discipline. It really teaches you discipline, and that you can do things you never thought you would be able to do. But it takes a journey. It takes a long time. It doesn't comes with a lot of hard work, and people helping you out. I looked around and you feel like you got a whole coaching team. You got your swimming
Right.
coach, your biking club that you're in, and you're in but it takes all those people to help you get to that level. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot in common. I started doing sprint triathlons. I never did that, but
Mm.
I also had to take swim lessons. And I've bonked plenty on some endurance bike rides that we've done. And you're right, it is really humbling. It's also inspiring, though, to hear you talk about where you start with, let's say, a 5K and build up to something, because sometimes, for me at least, I go right from the vision of it to I should be there. And then if I'm not, kind of being hard on myself. But Leslie, we started this internal challenge again. We've got it back up and running, where we're
Yeah.
trying to hold ourselves accountable to those kind of small acts that make a big difference for you physically, mentally, all the things. So I'm going to take this, Leslie, as a sign
It
from
is.
Kelly
Yeah.
that we've got this. We've got this. All right,
Yeah.
Kelly, we're almost out of time. So when you think of something you're actively trying to create at work or in life, what are some of those things that you're working on right now?
Well, I think that this is kind of ties into the School of Rock. One of the things that's been great about owning a School of Rock, not only just teaching music to children, but I see so many people that come to Nashville that are trying to make it in the industry, and so we employ them, right? So they're working for us, our instructors. They're playing on Broadway, trying to make it, and I just so exciting to see that passion from them,
Mm,
and thinking of ways to assist them in their journey, in providing employment is one thing, but, we're supporting them through other other opportunities that we can to, whether we're going to their gigs or introducing them to people that my wife Angie and I have met in the industry to try to give them those opportunities. And, I think through my Vistage speaking. So I'm at that point in my life where I'm trying to, not tell people what to do, but use my knowledge and experiences and resources, whether it's a guitar instructor here, it's a brand new recruiter for Hamilton-Ryker, or it's somebody we've hired in South Dakota to do workforce and apprenticeships and just continuing that path on, but it's all about hoping people create their own journey. And then, we're on the way to kind of help them with that in some way.
I love that.
There is definitely a connection. All the different businesses that you're owning and just kind of how you help folks and children. So it's great. I know a lot of my mom group friends and peers are also involved in School of Rock too, and they think so
Are they?
highly of it.
Yeah.
Very good experience. So, well, good. I know we're closing out here. Is there anything coming up from a project or initiatives, Hamilton-Ryker related or not, that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I do think, the company has been pivoting. We still have a very strong staffing arm, but, we're putting chips in on this workforce development and apprenticeship. I think you're seeing this, Trump 1 started it, Biden continued it, Trump 2 is really putting the money in there. The administration wants to have 1 million apprentices working over the next couple of years. And 10 years ago when we first got in, or 8 years ago, there was 300,000. It's out there, and it's going to be in industries that you typically don't think about. People think about the skilled trades and some of that, but we're big in the healthcare side of it. There's things in IT, of course, manufacturing and all that. And I think that we're in a good spot to really kind of push that along and, try to find people that are, you're flipping burgers for $8-10 an hour. Let's get you to, $22 an hour, and we've got the path to get you there. And that's exciting. That's everybody wins in that, and just create that journey for them. So
Amazing.
Kelly, I could talk to you forever. You know that we have lots of conversations, and I'm always inspired leaving conversations with you. And what strikes me most often about talking to you, and even this conversation, is that through line that you've kept across the 3 decades. So the absolute commitment to people. And this is I see it day in and day out with your team, and I've met members of your team and hear how highly they speak of you, the workforce programs you're developing, the second chance hiring, apprenticeships, the culture again that you're building, and honestly the fact that you're creating space for the kids, the musicians, talking about musicians who have such a hard time making it. I don't think people realize you don't just become Taylor Swift. There's a lot of work that goes behind it to find their voice through music. You're giving them that hope and that help. It's all interconnected, and you were able to paint that for us today. So thank you. You've reminded us that leadership is not just about the bottom line, it's about what you leave behind and the people you develop, the communities you serve, and the culture you protect. So thank you so much for joining us and bringing that to the conversation today. We're genuinely grateful.
You're welcome. I had a great time. Always fun talking with you.
All right. Well, that was a wrap with Kelly. That was such a great episode. And after reading all about his background and bio, he is so dynamic. I think at one point I said, I want to go inside of his brain because he's just so interesting. And I feel like there was so much more to dig into there. But one of the things, I know we always do a take 3. The thing that rose to the top for me is always being ready for change, being change ready. He was very vulnerable and transparent about, going down a path, things were going really great. And then I believe he said the pandemic, things happened, and you have to pivot. And so being ready for pivoting and for the unexpected. And I have like this love-hate relationship with that, because it's like you don't always want to be ready for the shoe to drop, right? Because that's not great. But how do you do that in a delicate way that prepares you, almost like a emergency plan, right? When things are going great, you want it to last, and of course you're crossing your fingers, you're doing all the things that you need to do, but what happens when things don't? And I know you chimed in on that point too, and we're very vulnerable as well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've all gone through, highs and lows and in the business world, and we continue to see companies struggle and suffer to Kelly's point, and what we have seen and witnessed and tried not to do. We've been really fortunate to be able to learn from a lot of entrepreneurs because we service a lot of businesses and we see what they do really well and what they don't. And when you're not operating in a fiscally responsible way where cash is everything for a business, it's Kelly said it on the call, it's what can make or break it. And when you get so cash strapped, or you think everything is great and you're spending, 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 yes, let's do this performance trip, let's invest in this tool or software. And then all of a sudden, and I remember this happened to us where one week we kept getting these calls from our largest accounts. And it was during the pandemic. We've got to cut, we've got to cut, we've got to cancel.
Yeah.
And usually we would say we're totally well diversified. We've got, all plenty of revenue from different accounts. We're not embedded in one account. But when you start having multiple large accounts come off, then if you're not prepared for that, to have the funding, the financing, that backup plan, that whatever you need in that moment, you may not have all of the cash you need in that moment because you weren't expecting it. It's hard not to plan for that, but it's a good lesson learned to have those relationships with the bankers, with investors, with people who can jump in and help you when you need it. So yeah, you want to invest for growth, but also be ready when you need to make a change. So I really appreciated his vulnerability there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that too. I think it will help others that have been in that same situation, and recognizing that, you're not alone. So
Right.
love that.
Exactly. 8-time Ironman
I know.
finisher, which is wild. I think we back in the day did 6 or 8 sprints, and that was tricky.
Also,
Ironman.
just really quick, I know you were telling him about our healthy challenge that
Yes.
we're all walking into here, and I'm like, is she gonna invite the 8-time Iron
To join us. I
Red?
should.
Because he would be severely disappointed. Like we wouldn't be able to add anything.
Oh my gosh. Well, to his point though, Leslie, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, or in his case, an Ironman.
Yeah.
But I loved when he said just start small and work your way up, and reps
Yeah.
matter, to put in the work. So it's not like I sometimes vision, like I I know a lot of parents do this. It could be anything. Like my kid plays hockey, my kid's going to be in the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think
Yeah. Yeah.
big and go big. You just can't help it. In this case, including our challenge that we have going on, which is to stay active and find different ways to be active, but to hold each other accountable. You start with that walk around the block, or start with that walk around your kitchen island over and over and over again, or whatever it is. If it's a 5K that you sign up for, to give yourself a goal and something to work toward, to
Yeah.
remember that you don't have to go right to Ironman. You can start small to work your way up to that. So I appreciated that, just his analogy, not only in, the challenge to stay physical and active, but also in business where, we see companies who will say, I'm going to double from 25 million to 50 million. Well, what's driving you to do that? Because there's a lot in between there that will need to happen, before you get there. So to think in those increments of how to get there and what you can do to break that down to get there. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
I liked it. That stood out to me.
Yep. Yep. I'll be walking around my kitchen island. Thank you
I
very much.
was just looking at mine because our dogs literally like we laps around it. They just follow each other around it, and they think of it. So I'm not suggesting you go, get your workout on
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
laps. You never know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
The other thing that stood out was that he just exudes purpose in what he does, whether it's, he's the owner of a School of Rock locally, he's the owner of a, CEO of a staffing company, and they do really important work, apprenticeships with healthcare organizations, putting people to work and helping organizations find critical talent. And he just has that about him. And there's this common thread of it's bigger than than what you intended to do. And I just, you feel that from talking to him. And that's probably a big reason why he's been so successful, is that, and you said it yourself, it's the results come when you lead with heart and purpose. And so finding what you're passionate about and doubling down on that. And yeah, easy peasy, I'm sure, for everyone.
Right.
But it was
Yeah.
inspiring to hear him that he has a couple different things that he's really involved with, and each of them are about giving back to people, whether it's that budding musician that comes into Nashville and is looking for a door to enter to help them get to where they want, or someone that's working somewhere locally that isn't necessarily on the path that they want, and opening that door to have them do things that they probably didn't even know that they're capable of doing. So I appreciated that.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think so. Leading with purpose and finding that passion is so critical. And I loved hearing it's leading with that why behind what you do. That really, it really struck me with Kelly. It does. Every time I talk to him, I feel that way. And
Yeah.
he's always willing to help. He'll ask us, what do you need help with? How can I help you?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not like a habit that he just asks. He's asking it with intention. And the fact that he's doing that in all of the industries that he serves, it's really telling. I've witnessed Kelly as a leader on calls, at conferences, speaking, all of the things, talking to his team, and he's the real deal. Real deal.
Yeah. The only thing I regret is not asking him to sing. But
Oh my goodness, we should have totally
next
put him on the
time.
spot. Kelly, be ready. Be ready. If you listen to our recap, I hope you've got that guitar ready and your mic ready
Yeah.
to sing.
Well, thanks for joining, everyone. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you the next time.
All right. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Thanks for listening to Honestly We're Learning. If you liked what you heard, you can drop us a like, review, or comment. And if you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.